advanced social psychology. You can on your microphone unless until there is any background disturbance. Okay, so do you have any idea about social psychology? What is social psychology? Please on your microphone. Three of you, please on your microphone. Sumitra, Jyotirmoyi, and Nikki. Keep your microphone on, otherwise it won't be an interactive class. And this is not a regular classroom teaching where the lecture delivers, your teacher delivers the lecture. Rather, it's a doubt clearing class, I think. So, so Sumitra, where are you from? What are you doing now?
Ma'am, I'm from Ravenshaw University. I'm doing PG first year psychology.
Only you have enrolled in this IGNOU class, or
No,
something
ma'am.
else you are doing.
I am from Ravenshaw University. No, ma'am,
You
I'm
have
from
completed
Ravenshaw
your
University.
from Ravenshaw University, and you are doing IGNOU PG.
No, ma'am, I'm not doing no PG. I'm just attending the classes.
You are just attending the classes. And what Jyotirmay, what are you doing?
Ma'am, I'm teaching in an engineering college. I'm a teacher of English, and now I have decided to shifting to psychology. That's why
You are
I have
doing
registered in MA in psychology.
MA in psychology. So you
I'm
are
MA and MPhil in.
MA and MPhil in English. And Nikki?
Well, ma'am, I'm from Ravenshaw University, and I'm doing my master's from Psychology Department, Ravenshaw University. As the online classes are going on, which is held by IGNOU, so I thought it's better to enroll myself in such activities. Therefore, I'm attending the classes.
So you are not any IGNOU student.
No, ma'am.
No, I'm not an IGNOU
Out
student.
of your interest, you are attending the IGNOU classes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but I think you don't have a paper on social psychology in your PG
Ma'am,
classes.
we have. I like.
You have.
Yes, ma'am, we have.
Third
But
semester.
it's in
In our
third
third
semester.
Third semester, doesn't matter in which semester it is. You can attend the class and you can know more about social psychology. So, do you all have any idea about social psychology?
Yes, ma'am. I have some idea.
Yes, ma'am.
Pardon me, ma'am.
What is social? You
I
don't have.
lack all the ideas regarding that. Yes, ma'am. My
Okay, okay.
background is different.
Social psychology is nothing new. Actually, we are the part or we are the subject of social psychology or social psychology. Actually, psychology is about us only, na?
Yes, ma'am.
Psychology is the study of behavior of human being, of any individual, of any living organism. And social psychology is the study of human being in a social situation, where we study how an individual interacts in a social situation, how he thinks, feels, behaves, or his thought process, his feelings, his behavior in any social situation, in any group situation, how a person interacts with another person, how a person behaves in a social situation or in any group, and how groups behave or any group behaves, and how group interacts with other groups. So now it's during the time of pandemic, you might be knowing the importance of social psychology, particularly for Jyotirmoy ma'am, who
Yes.
is a novice in this field of psychology. So, but now it's a situation where actually our behavior, what I am thinking is not important, what how I am behaving is not very important. My behavior is influencing the behavior of others. or the news, the media, what is going around us is actually influencing my thought process, my feelings, and my behavior. All of you must be feeling scared. All of you must be under some type of anxiety, stress due to this pandemic situation. Even I am under stress and anxiety, and this type of class or this type of online class is because of this pandemic situation. All of you agree?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So, why this happened? Because of this pandemic, we cannot interact with each other in a face-to-face manner or in a classroom situation, any type of interaction or touching or physical contact or physical face-to-face interaction with each other. And we have opted this type of classroom teaching or classroom learning teaching process. So this is also a topic of social psychology, or this is a major topic of social psychology or social psychological research. We can do lot many studies on this type or this situation, which is a subject of social psychology. So let me start with what is social psychology. I have already told you something. I have given you a brief idea about social psychology, and now we will discuss or define social psychology. What is actually social psychology? So first, it has been defined. So first, tell me, social psychology is the combination of, it is a amalgamation of sociology and psychology. Sociology studies the society, the institutions in any society, the state, the family, the group, the community, the state, the nation, and the world as a whole. And psychology studies the individual, how an individual behaves, how an individual thinks, how an individual feels. And social psychology is the combination of sociology and psychology. It's a scientific study. It's not simply a study of sociology and psychology. It's a scientific study which adopts some scientific methods to study the behavior of individual in any social situation. So we can define social psychology as the scientific study of the behavior of individual in any social situation. And here the context is the society. Here the context is any system in the society, and the focus is the individual, how individuals behavior influenced by the presence of others, and how the individual influences the behavior of others in a group. This is the main focus or main area of social psychology. So first, it got its a different or unique definition or unique recognition during the mid 20th century, after the World War II, where some background noise is coming from someone. After World War II, it gained or it became kindly, it gained its importance or a distinct status of a science, distinct status of a particular or different area of study. Previously, it has been studied under philosophy. Under philosophy, it was studied. Then it was studied under psychology. So first it was defined by Floyd Allport in 1924 as the scientific study of experiences and behavior of individual in relation to other individuals, group, and culture. It was the study of experiences and behavior of individual in relation to other individuals, group, and culture as defined by Floyd Allport in 1924. Again, Gordon Allport defined it as the study, or it's an attempt to understand and explain how the thought, feeling, and behavior of an individual are influenced by the actual, imagined, or implied presence of other. Gordon defined it in 1968. So it is a scientific study of the individual thought, behavior, experience, feeling, and how the individual influences the group or other individual around him, a group, and how he is being influenced by the presence of other is the main focus or main area or main topic of study of social psychology. So what is scientific study? Scientific study actually involves careful observation of information about any issue. Here, the issues are actually social issues, and it's careful observation of information and integration of those observation and statement and to form a general principle which can be utilized for future observation. So mainly there are three phases or three areas or three interests of scientific study. First is the careful observation of information and integrating those information into a generalized principle or integrating them and forming a general principle, then utilizing those general principle for future observation. Now there are almost six participants. One is Manjula, Sunita, and Manjula, Sunita, on someone entered and exited. Okay. So
Ma'am,
this is about. Huh? Hello.
are you okay?
Why?
You're not looking good.
Huh?
You're not looking well.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. Why?
Okay.
I'm not looking good.
I
Okay.
doesn't mean that, ma'am. I
No,
mean you're
I'm
not
feeling
looking.
sick. I'm feeling ill.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Okay.
Uh, I am feeling little bit feverish. That's why I might be sounding like this. Okay. So
Yes,
today
ma'am.
we will discuss about what is social psychology. Okay. All of you have got your course materials. Have you
Yes,
got
ma'am.
your course? So
Uh,
today the topic is about the concept of social psychology and its relation with other disciplines. One is that. So under this we will discuss the scope of social psychology, the historical development of social psychology, and its relation with other disciplines. Then we will switch to methods used in social psychology. Under the methods used in social psychology, we will discuss your observational method, correlational method, experimental method, quasi-experimental method. Then one powerful method of studying social psychology that is known as ethnographic method or ethnography that has its source or ethnography has its source from sociology and anthropology. Then we will discuss about the application of social psychology into different fields. First we will try to finish up these three portions, then we will switch to social cognition, attribution, and something else is there in your paper. Impression formation, all these things are there. But first, the introductory portion consists of what is social psychology, its history, its relation to other sciences, then the methods used in social psychology, and the application of social psychology to other fields of psychology and other field of social psychology. Other field of social sciences. So we have already completed what is social psychology, and now we will discuss about the scope of social psychology. What is the scope of social psychology? So from the very definition, it's clear that it studies the thought, feeling and behavior of individual, how these things are influenced by the actual, imagined or implied presence of others. Under this comes the topic like social perception, social interaction, social influence and group dynamic. These are the topics that are studied under the thought, feeling and behavior of individual, how it is influenced by the presence of others. And second scope is influence of individual perception and behavior upon the group or upon the group productivity. Am I clear? Do you understand what I am saying or I am getting faster?
No, no, ma'am. We are fine with your pace.
Huh. So the second portion or second scope is influence of individuals perception and behavior upon the group behavior. So how now you all must have realized that from the last, particularly from the news of Sushant Rajput's suicide, you must be thinking how individual behaves and how the presence or how the attitude, perception, behavior of group influences the attitude, thought, and behavior of one individual. Though I am not clear and though I am not sure why that person or why that young man committed suicide, from the WhatsApp messages and from some news sources, we come to know that it is due to the lobby in the film industry or the bias towards one who don't have any or one who doesn't have any background or anyone from or doesn't have parents from the film industry. He came to this industry on his own, and how the behavior of other groups in the or other production houses influenced or made him feel alienated, alone or depressed. He was not allowed to sign any more pictures or new films. He was not given any new films as far as the news is saying till now. I'm not clear what is the reason behind his suicide. So how the presence or how the behavior of people has forced him to commit suicide. So our behavior is always influenced by the behavior of others. So when one of you, Sumitra said, asked me whether I am feeling well or not. See, from my facial expression or from my voice or from my breathing side, she realized that if madam is not feeling well today. So that influence the way she is taking up the knowledge or grasping the knowledge or her interaction in the group is being influenced by my voice or my way of presentation. That if madam is not feeling well, she should have taken rest or something she has thought. I don't know what she has thought, but this is the thing how my behavior has influenced her way of perceiving this total classroom and perceiving the knowledge or the topic she is attending now. So influence of individual perception and behavior upon the group. Here we are discussing about the group productivity in the workplace and group decision making. All these things are discussed under this, particularly conformity, diversity, compliance. These are the things that comes under this. And here, the third scope or third area of study of social psychology is the group themselves as behavioral entities and relationship among the group, how one group interacts with other group, how a group functions, how one group interact with other group, and how one group influences the decision of other group. These are studied under the third scope or third area of study. So now we'll shift to the historical development of social psychology. By now we have discussed about what is social psychology, its definition and scope. Now it's time for discussing the historical development of social psychology. Like other social sciences, it has its roots from philosophy. So first there were particularly two area or two schools of thought of philosophy which has influenced the development of social psychology. One is the Platonic thought and another one is your Aristotelian thought. The Platonic thought gave emphasis to the state. Here state is given importance over the individual, and this thought emphasizes that individual has to be educated to become more social, and state is more powerful than individual. And Aristotelian thought believes or emphasizes human being as a social being. Human being is social by nature. He has a tendency to live in the society, to enter into personal relationship, develop a family, develop a tribe, develop a community, and the end is the state. And state naturally develops out of the instinct or the social instinct or social nature of human being or any particular individual. So Platonic thought gives importance to the state, whereas the Aristotelian thought gives emphasis to the individual. So this is the old philosophy or older or the origin of social psychology. And the modern sociological thoughts include the social centered approach, and another is your individual centered approach. Here also the social centered approach gives emphasis to the function of social structure for individual experiences and behavior. It gave it social centered approach give emphasis to the society, whereas individual centered approach give emphasis to the social system are excludable in terms of individual processes and function. Social systems explain or they describe about the individual processes and functions. And came in then in mid 19th century the first form of social psychological theories appeared, and basically three terms were used, that is people psychology, mass psychology, and the theory of instinct of social behavior. These three terms were used in social psychology. So now comes the emergence of social psychology. Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Can you please repeat the three terms, please?
Three terms are people psychology, mass psychology, and theory of instinct of social behavior.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
People psychology, mass psychology, and another one is okay. So now we will discuss about the books on social psychology. How particular or specific books were written on social psychology. In 1908, two books were published. One is Introduction to Social Psychology by William McDougall, and another one is by Edward A. Ross. He wrote a book, Social Psychology, and Edward Ross was a sociologist. And two books were published, and these gave a distinct identity to social psychology. So then how researches or experiments were started in social psychology. So in early 20th century, after First World War, some researches were done in this particular area. But the first research in social psychology stem back to 1897. 1897, Norman Triplett, he did an experiment on dynamogenic effect of peacemaking, and where he studied how an individual's performance is affected by the presence of others, how the presence of others influences the behavior or performance of an individual. You must be aware that we behave in a different way in the presence of other, and our behavior when we are singing alone is different, and when singing in front of other is definitely different. So first, Norman Triplett in 1897 did one study where he studied the effect of presence of others. And in 1924, Walter Mood in Europe and Floyd Allport in US did the similar study of performance of people working alone and in the presence of other. Similar study is done by Norman Triplett. They also studied how individuals' behavior or performance is influenced by the presence of other. A term is there, social facilitation. Social facilitation is a term to describe this thing, the how we behave in the presence of other, whether it is facilitating or whether it interrupts us or it deteriorates our performance. That is known as social facilitation. And they wrote book that was they wrote a book, particularly Allport wrote a book which was published in 1924, which is a compilation of experiments in social psychology. Then some different in the next 2 decades, some more researches were done. That means in from 1924 to 1948, and these studies were mainly based on the attitude measures or attitude scales, social norm, aggression, leadership, social influences, and all these things. And the revolutionary era or revolutionary year or revolution in social psychology is with the establishment of a research center, or a research center was established in MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, that is in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And this Kurt Lewin, who is the father of applied psychology, he established the research center for group dynamics, in MIT. And he was of the view that significant social problems can be investigated in labs with experimentation. According to him, social psychological issues, events, or problem can be studied in any lab situation, and it was established in 1948. So any doubt regarding this portion till now, or shall we proceed to the next portion?
Let's proceed, ma'am.
Let's proceed. Okay. Now we will discuss about social psychology and its relation to, or its relation with other social sciences or other disciplines. So to discuss this, we have to know how it functions. It functions at 3 levels. First is the societal level, where it studies the link between broad social forces and general pattern of social behavior, like economists study the consumer behavior, where a vast number of people, or at a societal level the behavior of people are studied by the economist. The sociologist study the crime behavior, the violence behavior, or at present how people the hygiene behavior or the social behavior of people at this present situation. And the political scientists, they study the voting behavior, the attitude of people towards any political party. And all these things are studied at a societal level. The three levels are societal level of analysis, individual level of analysis, and interpersonal level of analysis. These are the three levels at which social psychology is studied in different disciplines. First is the societal level, where we study the behavior of a group, of a society, of a community, like the voting behavior, the consumer behavior, the community behavior, how a community is responding to a particular issue. All these things are studied at a societal level. Then our individual level, that is basically studied by the clinical and personality psychologist, or basically the psychologist who explains the behavior in terms of a person's unique personality characteristics and life history. Here the particular individual is studied instead of the society or the group of people. And the third one is your interpersonal level, where the social psychologist on a person's current situation, he studies the person's current situation, how others people behavior, attitude, and people's relation influence the behavior of the person at present. And if the social context changes, there will be change in the individual's behavior. We can take example of the aggressive behavior among people, or a delinquent behavior. Delinquent means a child who is involved in any sort of criminal activity. If the environment or the social environment of the child change, or there occurs a change in the social environment of the child, then there will be change in the behavior of the child, or there will be change in the aggressive behavior of the child. That's why he is kept in isolation or in a childcare home. So these are basically the things that we study in social psychology. Psychology of the individual, psychology of the group, psychology of the individual in relation to group, psychology of the individual in relation to another individual, in relation to group, and the group behavior. These are the scope or areas of study of psychology, social psychology. Now we will discuss about the methods of social psychology, that is in your fourth that is there in the unit 3 of your MPC 4. MPC 4 unit 3 is the methods of social psychology. So what are the methods of social psychology? Do you have any idea, or those who have studied psychology? Now, Chandani, Manjula, and Sunita, give me your introduction, please. Hello, Chandani.
Hello, ma'am.
Huh?
Actually, my name is Susrijita Mohanty. My Google ID is saved
in Manjula Mohanty.
What's your name?
My name is Susrijita Mohanty.
Susrijita Mohanty. And what you are doing?
Actually, I'm a special educator, and I'm doing PG in psychology.
You are a special educator.
Yes.
Working somewhere?
Working in Odisha Speech and Hearing Center in Bhubaneswar, IIT Village.
And who is Chandani Beher Dolai? Hello, Chandni Beher Dolai. Okay, she is not responding. Who is Sunita Sahu? Hello, Sunita Sahu. Okay, she is also not responding. So I hope you must be having, those from psychology background, they must be having some idea about the methods used in social psychology. In psychology, even in social psychology, those methods are used.
Hello.
Not any
morning.
new.
Hello.
Hello, Chandini.
Sorry, ma'am. Here. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Sorry, ma'am. Actually, there is a little network problem issues every time. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Okay. So the different methods in psychology or different methods of studying psychology. As psychology is a scientific study, even social psychology is also a scientific study. The methods used here are observational method, correlational method, experimental method, quasi-experimental method, survey method, and a special method for social psychology is ethnography. Psychology students might not be knowing much about ethnography, and the rest of the method has been studied under psychology, or the rest of the methods are used to study psychology. But ethnography is a new method which has not been touched by any psychology student. So what is observational method and how it is used in social psychology? Observational method actually involves observing the events, facts, or issues in any social. Now we are discussing about social psychology, so we will give the example of social psychology, not psychology. So here it's a systematic study of observing or recording or collecting information, recording, integrating, developing a general principle which can further be used in future. So observation is a method of collecting information, integrating them, recording them, and developing general principles. So in social psychology, when we use this method, we particularly select a particular issue. Society is around us. Observation doesn't mean studying everything around us. In studying social psychology, we have to choose, we have to select a particular area of study and do thorough observation on that, and record what we have observed, integrate them, and develop some conclusion about the event, situation, or issue. So, even at the same time, we have to discuss, we have to find out the cause behind that particular behavior. Observation can be of different type. One is naturalistic observation, and another naturalistic observation which is in contrast to controlled observation. Psychology students must be knowing what is naturalistic observation and what is controlled observation. In naturalistic observation, we simply observe without interfering the natural happening. We observe the situation without any intervention. We simply stay as an outsider, we observe it and we record it. But in controlled observation, we manipulate or we enter, we intervene into the natural situation and observe how people behave in that situation. Suppose you are going to your college, on your way you saw an accident and there you wanted to observe it, record it, capture it, and present your observation about the behavior of the victim or the person who has faced that accident. That is naturalistic observation. The accident happened on its own. You had not created it, even you did not intervene in the process of or in the behavior of the individual who has faced that accident, and simply you are writing about how the people around the accident spot behaved, how the victim or one who has been injured is behaving. All these things is known as naturalistic observation. You observe a group of people. Suppose take the example of the crowd in unit one market or our market building on Friday. You simply entered into the market building and you noted down, you observed how people in the era or in the situation of social distancing, how they are behaving, how they are not maintaining the social distance. This you simply observed and recorded. Nobody knew that you are observing, you are recording, and you will be presenting all those things in the news channel or in your study. So this is naturalistic observation. You are not at all intervening. You as an outsider, you as one among the crowd is observing the behavior of people. And another one is your controlled observation, where you ask or you give the information to the people in unit one market or in the market building that people or friends, you are being observed and you are supposed to maintain the social distancing. I am recording you or I am observing you how you are behaving in a common area or in the marketplace where you are supposed to maintain social distancing. This here you are intervening or you are interrupting their natural way of behavior. You are controlling their behavior to some extent. That's why it is known as natural. This is not called as naturalistic observation, rather it is called as controlled observation. And another type of observation is known as participant and non-participant observation, where in participant observation you are one among the people who are in or who are your subject. Suppose you want to study the behavior of people in a classroom. You want to study the behavior of the students in a classroom. So you enter into the classroom, sit among them, and talk to them as a student. They don't know that you are a newcomer or you are an outsider who has come to observe the behavior of the people inside the classroom. A non-participant observation is you observe the students from the window, or you observe them from outside through the window, or you record the behavior of the people or students inside the classroom with a camera, and then you study the behavior. That is non participant observation. And observation is the basic tool or basic method in studying any type of behavior. It is also the basis of experimentation. It is also the basis of correlational method, and participant observation or a different form of participant observation is known as ethnographic study or ethnography, that we'll discuss later. So now it is all about your observation method. So now we'll discuss about the second method or the other method, that is known as correlational method. Correlational method. From the very name, it suggests that there is relation or something about relationship that co-occurs, or relationship between two variables which co-occur is known as correlational method. It is about the study of two variables, how these two variables systematically increase or decrease, or increase in one variable is systematically related to another variable, or accompanied by the systematic increase or decrease in the magnitude of the other variable. This is known as correlational method. This is the relationship between two variables. So correlational, one example of correlational observation or correlational study is what can be the example? Money. The more rich a person, the more happy he is or she is a correlational study. So here you can see or you can observe that with increase in the amount of wealth or increase in the amount of facilities, the happiness also increases, is the study. These two are positively correlated as assumed, but actually this is not positively correlated. Increase in one variable leads to increase in the other variable is a positive correlation. Particularly, there are three type of correlation: positive, negative, and another one is zero. In positive correlation, increase in one variable leads to increase in the other variable. In negative correlation, increase in one variable leads to decrease in the other variable. And zero is there is no correlationship between two variable, or these two variables are not related in any way. Change in one variable doesn't lead to change in the other variable. This is the zero correlation. So a correlation can be from 1.00 plus 1.00 to -1. It can be +1 to -1. A value beyond 1 cannot be a correlation. There is either 100% correlation, or below that, beyond 100% correlation, there cannot be any relation. So the value of correlation ranges from +1 to -1. Examples of correlation can be, one I have given you: increase in wealth leads to increase in happiness, and increase in rain leads to higher productivity, higher agricultural productivity. When there is good rain, there will be good yield. When another can be observation or watching aggressive films leads to aggressive behavior. When one watches aggressive behavior, he behaves aggressively, or he shows more aggressive behavior. Can be a study of correlation or correlational study. But correlational study doesn't mean any cause and effect relationship. The one variable is never the cause of another variable. Simply there is relationship between two variables. Increase in one variable doesn't or is not the cause of increase in the other variable. Here simply if one variable increases, variable 2 also increases. But increase in one variable or variable number 1 is never the cause of increase in the variable number of 2. Even increase in variable number 1 is not the cause of decrease in the variable number 2. There may be some relation. If variable number 1 increases, variable number 2 decreases. But this is not the cause-effect relationship. This is what correlation is. Experimental method studies the cause and effect relationship, but correlational method never studies the cause and effect relationship. Correlational method studies the relationship between two variables. The increase or decrease in one variable is related to the increase or decrease in the second variable, and there may be some other variable that might be helping or acting or developing this type of relationship. Not that variable number 1 causes the change in variable number 2. So most of the social psychological studies are done through the method of our correlational method. So give me a break of 1 minute. I'll take some water.
Good. Hello, good morning to all of you. Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Yes. Actually, in the morning there is some problem in the speaker, so I am not able to introduce madam. Actually, madam is from Utkal University. She is a faculty member in the Department of Psychology. Okay. So, madam already left her. I think madam is there.
Hello.
She has
I'm
taken
here.
a break, 1 minute break, just
Yes.
to drink water.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
madam.
you.
Madam, I am just introducing myself, Dr. Sitaram Mahapatra from Department of Chemistry, Ravenshaw University, and I am just coordinating the Ravenshaw IGNOU Center. Most probably, Ravenshaw is running the most of the post graduation course, MA Economics, Hindi, Psychology, and Sociology. These are the MA program is continuing. And thank you, madam.
Thank you.
You can continue.
Now, I have also not introduced myself because there were a few students. I am Mosumi Sethi. I am assistant professor in psychology department, Utkal University.
Okay, thank you, madam, for introduction.
Shall we?
Thank you,
I will
madam.
continue my course. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we have discussed about the observational method and correlation. The students must be knowing much about the experimental method where the cause and effect is studied. Here, different terms are used. First, let me introduce those terms. One is the first term you must be acquainted with is variable. Variable refers to anything that varies, that take different degrees, that changes. That is known as variable. Anything that changes, anything that takes different values is known as variable. Variable can be of different types. One is your independent variable, one is your dependent variable, and some confounding intervening variables are also there. some confounding intervening variables are also there. So experimental method is the study of variable. It studies the how an independent variable influences or makes change in the dependent variable is the study of experimental method. So changes are made in the independent variable, and change in independent variable, whether the change in independent variable leads to any change in the different in the dependent variable is the study of experimental method or is studied under experimental method. And another term is there that is known as experimental group, control group, random assignment. These are the terms used in experimental method. So first is your variable. Variable are of different types, that is independent variable, dependent variable, intervening variable, confounding variable. These are the types of variables. Then groups, experimental group and control group. And another thing is the random assignment of subjects to different groups is also one of the tricks or principles of any experimental method or any experimental study. So what is experimental group? The experimental group is the one upon which the independent variable is applied or which is exposed to the independent variable. Control variable is the one which is not exposed to the independent variable, that is there to study the impact of independent variable on the dependent variable. As control variable is not exposed to any independent variable, it should remain constant, or the behavior should remain constant is the assumption. And random assignment means randomly assigning subjects to the experimental group and to the control group, or different experimental group is another principle of experimental method. And one more thing is hypothesis. Hypothesis is the expectation about the result of the study or expectation about the result of the experimentation is known as hypothesis. So first give me one example, or we can discuss this with an example where we take we want to study the effect of different type of teaching method on the level of grasping of the student, or how students are benefited, or how students can understand better by different techniques of delivering the teaching or delivering the material or method of studying. So it can be either through lecture method, or we can suppose take the example of this online teaching and classroom teaching. We want to study this, whether students are benefited more by interacting in a actual classroom, or whether students are more benefited by this online classroom method. We want to study this. So here the independent variable is the method of delivering lecture. There are two types of method. One is your regular classroom where we interact with each other, and another one is your this online classroom where we are interacting through internet, through Zoom, through Google, or any type of method of delivering the class. So we want to study whether students feel comfortable with that method or this new method. So experimental group is exposed to both the groups, whether they feel more better with this method or that method, and the satisfaction or the benefit or the level of understanding is known as the dependent variable. Independent variable is the method of delivering. Dependent variable is how the students feel with these two methods. So whether the change in the method of teaching brings about any change in the level of satisfaction, level of understanding is the area of study here. This is known as your experimental method. And in social psychology, uses this experimental method to study different behavioral phenomena. Now we will discuss about quasi-experimental method. Quasi-experimental method is one where the random assignment is not possible, and random assignment is not possible, and the independent variable is not manipulated, rather it occurs on its own. Or we can say that there is less control over the setting. There is less or little control over the setting, and through quasi-experimental method, different issues or event of one's life can be studied. Suppose we want to study two examples I am giving. We want to study the exposure to aggressive behavior and aggressive behavior shown by a subject. We all must admit that watching aggressive films on TV or film or any theater leads to more aggressive behavior among population. We want to study this. So we can either study it through experimental method or through quasi-experimental method. In experimental method, particularly this is an experiment done by Libert and Baron, where two groups were there, where the subjects were randomly allocated to do these two experimental conditions, in which they viewed an video or clipping of violent television program. The experimental group were shown a violent television program, while another group or the control group, they watched just a sports or clipping of sports. And later these two groups were given an opportunity to hurt or beat a child. First they were exposed to two video clippings. The experimental group was given a violent criminal activity, and the control group was given a simple sports or cricket related clipping. And then they were studied, or their behavior was studied by exposing them to a child, where they were allowed to hurt that child. And it was shown that, or it was observed that, or it was recorded that the group which was exposed or which was shown the violent activity, they showed more violent, or they acted more violently, or they hurt the child more violently as compared to the group which was shown just a clipping of the sports. So this is the difference, how the experiment was done to find out whether exposure to a violent film, violent story, violent situation changes the violence behavior in the subject. This was done through the experimental method, and here there was random assignment. Here there was manipulation of the independent variable, where the independent variable was given to only the experimental group, not to the control group. And here the impact of independent variable was studied on the dependent variable, that is the behavior or violent behavior of the individual or the student or the people of both these groups. And in case of quasi-experiment as compared to experimental method, the same issue was also studied. The impact of exposure to violent video, violent film leads to violent behavior. The study is on the exposure of violent behavior, exposure to violent film video and its impact on the violent behavior of the individual. So in quasi-experimental design, what was done? Black and Bevan did this study in 1992. Same topic was there. There were 4 groups of people. There were 4 groups of people. One group, or the group number was, one was waiting in line outside a cinema. They were waiting outside an hall to enter into or to see a violent movie, while another group was waiting in the line to watch a non-violent movie. They were there to collect a ticket to watch non-violent movie. And third group consisted of people who had just watched a violent movie or they came out of the film hall. And fourth group includes the people who had just watched a non-violent film, and they were given a questionnaire to fill up to show their aggressive behavior, or the questionnaire consisted of questions that could measure their aggressive behavior. So when they were asked, these 4 groups were asked to fill up the questionnaire or to give a measure of their aggressive behavior, it was observed that those who were waiting outside to watch a violent movie responded more aggressively as compared to those who were waiting to watch a non-aggressive movie. And in case of the third and fourth group, it was found that those who were exposed or who had watched a violent movie responded more aggressively as compared to those who watched a non-violent movie. So this is a type of quasi-experimental design where the subject doesn't where the experimenter doesn't assign the subject randomly to the groups. Here the subjects are there to be exposed to different conditions. The experiment has no role in assigning the different people into different groups. Even the subject is not manipulating the independent variable. They on their own are there to watch their movie or different types of movie. So this is known as quasi-experimental design. And it is usually based, quasi-experimental design is usually based on actual life situation, whereas experimental method is done in any laboratory. This is done in any laboratory. And quasi-experimental design or quasi-experimental studies are done in any real life situation. Suppose we want to study how a victim feels after she faces domestic violence. This cannot be studied under experimental method because this can only be studied under quasi-experimental design. We cannot induce a situation, we cannot create a situation where a lady is being exposed to domestic violence and her reactions will be studied. That will not give us valid observation, valid facts about her feelings. This can only be studied through quasi-experimental design, and most of the topics of social psychology is studied under this type of method or the quasi-experimental method. And then comes your ethnographic study. Rest of these four methods are, or the methods we have studied by now, that is your observational, correlational, experimental, quasi-experimental. These all are being used in our psychological studies. But ethnographic study is done only for the social psychological researches. Okay. So what is ethnography? Ethnography is a combination of two words. One is ethno and graphy. Ethno refers to groups, individual, state, community, or we can say ethno refers to people, and graphy means writing. Writing about people is known as ethnographic study or ethnography, and it has its source from anthropology and sociology. Sociology and anthropology vastly use or mostly use these methods to study the society or the human, and social psychology has drawn this method of study from these sociology and anthropology. Here the researcher studies the behavior of people within a group by entering into the group. The researcher enters or stays within a group and studies the behavior of those people. Usually, the researcher studying the behavior or the custom or the culture in a tribal community can done best by the use of ethnographic method or by adopting
Excuse me, ma'am.
this. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, it has been written that it's a qualitative study, research study. How it
It
is
is
qualitative?
mostly a qualitative study. The difference between qualitative and quantitative is, in quantitative study try to quantify, we want to measure anything. Your attitude towards Negroes, your attitude towards this social distancing. uh, in quantitative study we want to quantify, give a number to your feelings, your thoughts and your behavior. But in qualitative we simply we record, we qualitatively assess your feelings, attitude and behavior. Here in qualitative study, the researcher doesn't assign any number or doesn't quantify your feeling, behavior or attitude. You are favorable, you have a favorable attitude towards uh, what, China. In this situation all Indians, people all over the world have developed a negative attitude towards China, and we can use a quantitative measure or quantitative method or quantitative approach to study our behavior or our attitude towards China, and we can give a number. All of or the people or all Indian have a 100% negative attitude towards China, but 50% of the Indians have negative attitude towards America, or 70% of people, Indians have negative attitude towards America. Here we are giving some number, quantity to our attitude, our feelings. But suppose, what is your feeling towards the Chinese? Why you are aversive, or why you have disliking, or why you have negative feelings towards the Chinese? Because these are the things. This is studied under qualitative method of study. So ethnography is also a qualitative method of study. Jyotinmay, now are you
I
clear
got you.
about?
Yes,
Huh?
yes, ma'am. I got it. Thank you, ma'am.
So, ethnography studies how people behave in that, or what are the culture tribes. Suppose I want to study the behavior of the people living in what are they called? The people living or the tribal people in Malkangiri. You know, there is a primitive tribe in Malkangiri district of Odisha. I want to study their customs, their habits, their lifestyle. So I cannot quantify that. Have to study them qualitatively, or I have to make a report, or I have to make observation. I cannot quantify that they are this much percent primitive and this much percent modern. I cannot quantify that they are this much percent percent culture, this much percent uncultured. This I cannot study. I can simply study their lifestyle. How can I study their lifestyle? I have to enter into that community. I have to live within them. This is how they enjoy their festival. This is how they observe the birth, death ceremonies. This is how they do their or follow their customs, tradition. This is how their marriages takes place. This is how they behave when in a group. This is about the lifestyle of those people. This is how, what is their attitude towards nature, whom they worship, why they worship nature, what is which idols they worship. All these things can be known only by staying with them. So in ethnographic studies, usually the researcher stays within the community, within the society. I can study it only by staying in that tribal community or in that tribal group. So
sorry to interrupt, ma'am. This is we can also say to be an in-group study. The experimenter himself becomes the part of the group. I mean,
participant observation. That's why I said a different form of participant observation is known as ethnographic study. For we psychologists, a type of participant observation. But ethnography is much more than participant observation.
Ma'am, mostly it's almost the same thing as participant observation. I mean, how is it different?
In participant observation, the difference is in the focus. In participant observation, we observe a particular phenomena. If we observe a particular event, a particular issue. Suppose we want to
in
know
participant
about
observation, the holistic approach is not given.
It's a holistic ethnographic study is a holistic approach.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
And participant observation is a specific, focused study of a particular event. Suppose we want to study the marriage ritual of those community.
Bonda tribe.
Bonda tribe. Then that type of study will be known as the participant observation. Or we want to study how they are behaving in this situation of pandemic.
Yes.
That is known as participant observation. Rest of the world is behaving so, and how the Bonda people are behaving, how they are maintaining the social distance, how they are using the basic hygiene rituals, that is studied through the method of your participant observation. But when we study the total lifestyle of that people, it is known as ethnography.
Yes, ma'am.
Here lies the difference. It is usually a holistic study. It focuses on all aspects of that particular group, or we can say participant observation is the study of a particular phenomenon, whereas ethnographic study is the study of a particular group.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the main difference. We study everything about the group. There are some famous ethnographists who have studied different. You must have seen some programs in Discovery Channel or in BBC Earth where the ethnographer stays with them for days, months, and years together to study that particular tribe or particular community. Here, the ethnographer learns about their behavior, their language, how they live, or else they will not accept the ethnographer, and they will not show the actual picture will not emerge unless until the ethnographer becomes a part of that group. So it is much more difficult than participant observation. Suppose you want to study the cultural behavior in we are observing Raja, and
Yes.
you want to study how girls in a village behave in a Raja festival. You have some relative in that village. You go to your relative's place and you observe the behavior of the girls in that village. That is known as participant observation. But when you become friend with those youngster community in that village, stays with them for few months or few days, then participate with them in the celebration of Raja. It is known as ethnographic study. Not only Raja, other festivals also you have to observe, or you intend to observe.
So basically, in ethnographic study, we observe their mindsets and all the things that they are going through. We become a part of the community. Whereas in
you have to become a part of the community. But in participant observation,
we just go and observe only a certain thing that this according to the hypothesis, and we come back. We don't take the holistic approach of the.
You don't take the holistic approach. You have a particular issue.
Yes,
and you observe that much only. But in ethnography, and most of the sociological researches or socio-psychological researches are done through the ethnographic method. Suppose we want to study the compliance behavior of teachers or academicians. That is studied through different methods. We can use questionnaire, we can use observation, we can survey and know about the compliance behavior of academician. But you want to know about the compliance behavior in that Bonda tribe, or how people in a village show compliance, or you want to the team behavior. You want to study the group behavior of Bhubaneswariya people and Kottakia people. All of us know that Kottakia or Kotki people are more group centered. They, if someone in their group faces any problem, people will come to his or her rescue immediately, and they will help her wholeheartedly. Kotaki people are more altruistic. They show more helping behavior compared to Bhubaneswar people. So to understand this, suppose someone in Delhi, or the researcher stays in Delhi, and she wants to know about the altruistic behavior of Bhubaneswariya people and Kotkia people, or people staying in Bhubaneswar and people staying in a village. And she takes Bhubaneswar as her area of study, and a remote village in Keonjhar as her area of study. Then she cannot go and collect some information, collect some questionnaire, fill up some questionnaire, and come to a conclusion. Collecting information through questionnaire, observation, or rating, all these things is known as quantitative study. And at the staying and observing the altruistic behavior or helping behavior is done through ethnographic method. So she can collect some quantitative, even qualitative
So we can
data
conclude
about
that.
it.
So basically, we can conclude that ethnographic study is much more better than participant observation or than quantitative study.
It is vast, it is holistic, it is an overall study of the in depth, more in depth.
Yes, ma'am.
Compared to this one. First ethnographic study is usually qualitative. Later on, it can be quantified.
Yes, ma'am.
But at the initial state, it is always qualitative. The ethnographer goes on observing, and observing. Then while presenting or while compiling or while integrating all those things, he can use some quantitative things also. So this is about your ethnographic method. There are some steps in ethnographic method. First, suppose we want to study about the Bonda tribe, so we have to collect some literature regarding those Bonda tribe, whether some literature is there, whether some information is there, already documented things are there about those people. So the researcher has to go or study all those things, then he has to enter into that community. And during this stage, he has to adopt cultural immersion, he has to be a part of that community. Then he starts learning about their lifestyle, their dresses, their language, and starts or gathers information about them. Then he collects data, integrate those data, and develop a general principle about that community. So different types or methods of ethnography is there, that is known as macro ethnography, micro ethnography, emic perspective, etic perspective. These are the different perspectives of ethnography. Macro is studying a culture, a particular, studying the culture of a vast group. Suppose we want to study the South Indians, we want to study the people living in hilly area, that is a macro ethnography.
But by doing so, we can, there is a chance of cultural biasness. I mean, subjective biasness can happen. For example, I belong to some other community and I am doing the experimentation or the participating with some, so I can judge. And so
that may
subjective
happen.
biasness
That cultural bias or researcher's bias may influence the results or the study.
Yes, ma'am.
Suppose you are a vegetarian.
Yes, ma'am.
And the people, we know that people from Nagaland or somewhere, they eat dog's meat. So we can assign them as more what inhuman, more rustic, more animalistic, as they are taking dog's meat. There is researcher's bias, but the researcher has to control that. A good ethnographer usually frees himself from all these type of biases. He compiles, he documents only the facts, not his bias, or the writing or documentation should not be influenced by his or her own feelings. So you think about
that has to be considered, experimenter's biasness has to be controlled, and he or she should
in
not.
every type of study, there is the threat of experimenter or researcher's bias. In experimental method also, we usually use double-blind experimental method to reduce the bias of the subject, even the experimenter. Now, in this present scenario, you all must be knowing about a concept: double-blinded experiment, single-blinded experiment, double-blinded effect of any experiment about the your medicines are for this COVID-19. So for experimenters, bias is always there, but a good experimenter should free himself from all these biases while writing or documenting the results. Okay. So macro level refers to studying a whole or big group, while micro refers to studying the members or a small group or a group of a small people. Suppose we want to study the politicians or the attitude behavior of politicians, that is a macro level of ethnographic study. And micro level of ethnographic study may be studying the behavior of female politicians working in Congress. That can be a micro ethnographic study. Or working women in a village. That can be a micro ethnographic study. And emic perspective usually refers to usually refers to the way the members of a given culture or group perceives the whole world. Whereas ethic approach refers to the way non-members or outsider perceive or interpret the behavior associated with a particular community or particular culture or particular group. So this is about your ethnographic study. One more concept is there that is there in your book, that is meta-analysis, where the study or different, there are a number of studies done on a particular culture, and in meta-analysis the researcher studies all those studies that has been done on a particular phenomena of a particular culture and draws a conclusion of his or her own. Now we'll discuss about your unit 4, that is current trends in social psychology and the ethical issue. So how social psychology is applied in different field in the present day. Social psychology doesn't restrict, or social psychology is not the study of only psychology. It can be applied. It can be applied to different settings, like studying population psychology, while studying health psychology. Social psychology helps in studying the health psychology. When we study environmental psychology, there also social psychology plays an important role. And when we study organizational or industrial psychology, while studying the legal system, social psychology also helps. So how population psychology or how social psychology is applied in population psychology? All of us know that this population is related to our community or group. Increase in population affects the whole community, the whole group, the whole nation, the whole world. So here the principles of social psychology or the theories of social psychology can be applied to study population psychology. Health psychology, this is health psychology studies the psychology related to health or principles of psychology is applied in health science of any country or in any area. So here also social psychology can be used as a tool of studying health psychology. So for example, in health psychology we study about stress. The main health problem in this present world is stress that affects our health, that leads us to different type of uh, stress only helps in developing, or stress is the mediator that develops different type of health problem like hypertension, sugar, our cardiac problem. All these things are because of our stress. Stress can be from different sources. It can be from our family, it can be from our job, it can be from our work area, it can be from the parents experience stress because their children doesn't listen to them. It can have different sources. Stress can be from different sources, and stress affects our immunological system. It hampers our uh, immunity. And in this present situation, again and again the government requests people to remain stress free, not to be anxious, not to be get over exhausted with the news of death, news of rate of infection, all these things in our country or even the world, as stress will hamper our immunity, and that indirectly will help in getting infected easily by this corona virus. So through social psychology we can study about stress. Suppose this Sushant Singh Rajput has a good social system. He had a good friends group. Then he would have never done, or he would never have committed suicide, because he lacked a special group of friends with whom he can discuss about his problems, his depression. He committed suicide, or else he would have survived, or else somebody could have helped him to overcome his problems. And there are also this stress is also because of the difference in different personality types. People are optimistic and pessimistic. Optimistic people doesn't get stressed easily, whereas pessimistic people get stressed easily. Personalities type also influences our coping system, and social support is also a big capital in dealing with our stress. Then comes the environmental psychology, where we study the interaction between the physical world and the human behavior. Environment, as we know, is something around us, and how the behavior of human influence the environment, and how the environment influences human behavior is the study of environmental psychology. Here also the role of social psychology is there, or social psychology can be applied in studying environmental psychology, how people's behavior can be modified for the betterment of the environment, how environment can also be modified to enhance the mental well-being of the individual, can be studied through this social psychology. Industrial and organizational psychology, where the application of social psychology there is the principles of social psychology are applied to understand the behavior of human in any organizational or industrial setup. Usually in any organization or in any industry, we work in a team, we work in a group. The organization or the output of any organization is a group endeavor. It's never an individual effort. The result is never about the result or output of any particular individual. Here group of people work to give a good outcome. So as group is involved or more than one people is involved, here also the principles of social psychology can be applied to change or to study or to change or to modulate the behavior of the individual. Then comes our legal system or legal psychology, where the behavior, criminal behavior, where the criminal behavior or violent behavior or disturbing behavior of individual are studied under this psychology. And this also here also social principles of social psychology can be applied to understand this type of individual, as most of the things or most of the criminal or unsocial or antisocial behavior are occur or people behave in a different way when they are alone and when they are in a group. So principles of social psychology can also be used or can also be applied in legal system. Okay, now something about the ethical issues. When we are studying people in a group or when we are studying the group behavior, we are actually interfering in that behavior or in the natural behavior. So this creates some ethical problem that is there in your 4th unit of your first paper in MPC 3. So now, do you have any question or clarification do you want? We could not address the social cognition or attribution theory. That we will discuss tomorrow. Today we have discussed simply unit 1, 3 and 4. Tomorrow we will discuss about social cognition, how we interpret our behavior, others' behavior, how we assign some cause to our behavior or the behavior of others. Do you have any doubts or clarification about these 3 topics?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I have some doubt about empiric perspective of ethnography.
Ethic and emic.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Emic perspective and ethic perspective.
Yes, ma'am.
About this, you are having doubt.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Emic usually refers to how we perceive others, how we interpret the behavior of others, or a person of a particular or a member of a given culture perceive their world. Okay.
Okay.
I am someone from Bonda tribe. How I perceive my culture, and when I perceive, I am a non-Bonda and I perceive the culture of Bondas. It is known as ethic. Okay? It's particularly, it's an approach, or it's a way the member of a given culture perceive their world. Whereas in ethic culture, the non-members or the outsiders perceive and interpret the behavior associated with a given culture. The example I said about the dog, the eating behavior, dogs meat eating behavior of Northeast community. They don't perceive it as bad. They don't perceive.
We perceive it as bad.
That is known as your ethic. While we perceive them, it is known as ethic, and when they perceive their behavior, it is known as emic. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more doubt? Hello.
No, ma'am, I don't have.
No, ma'am. We are clear.
Up to now, you are clear. Okay.
Yes,
tomorrow
yes,
we'll discuss about your MPC 2, block 2, and along with that, this one, your social cognition and attribution theory. Okay?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Have a good day.
Have a great day, ma'am. Thank you.
Ma'am, get well soon. Thank you, ma'am.
Hello. 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 Okay.